Yo, what's going on, guys? And you guys know I'm an Orlando Magic fan. Even though I live down here in South Florida, I've been a Magic fan since '06, I want to say. But look, listen to this. Wendell Carter could be available for trade, according to Mark Stein of the Stein line. So, Wendell Carter, according to Mark Stein, is a player to monitor on the trade market. Let me hear your thoughts down below. Hit that like, subscribe button. Stein cites the Magic's front court depth slash potential logjam as it in future as a need to sign Paulo Banchero and Franz Wagner to extensions, and with Goga Bitsadei, playing pretty well, as for a reason why Carter could be moved on. Carter's averaging 8.1 points and 6.5 rebounds this season. Now, that's a down from last year where Wendell Carter was actually like a big piece of the rotation. Last year, he was a 15, for the last 2 years, he was a 15 points per game guy, grabbing basically 9 rebounds over the last 2 years, a few assists, block a game. This year, he's played in 13 games. He's 6'10" with a 7'5" wingspan. And with a guy like Wendell Carter, he is pretty much an automatic double-double as a starter who is deserving of a sizable role. He has a throwback post-up game, and he can finish in the paint with either hand. Solid face-up game, too. He's starting to show a lot more perimeter game as over the last few seasons, he has been, a league average three-point shooter, and this year he's technically on low sample, shooting 40%. And he's a very smart positional defender, though he doesn't produce huge stats on that end. He's, like I said, 6'10" with a 7'5" wingspan. You're going to be pretty decent at playing D. Now, he's making only $13 million this season, and for the Orlando Magic, that's not that much on the cap, okay? And it's a front-loaded contract, so it's de-escalating. So next year he only makes 11.9. And Markelle Fultz is expiring, Gary Harris is expiring, Joe Ingles has a team option for $11 million, which is insane. Cole Anthony got an extension, so you're looking at this, and Paulo's obviously it's in a few years, but Franz is going to need an extension, probably going to be agreed upon this offseason. Jonathan Isaac and Wendell Carter are guys that, if you package those two, you could also get somebody. For example, if a team like the Hornets offered 2 first-round picks in Gordon Hayward for Jonathan Isaac and Wendell Carter. Obviously, I don't think schematically, this is all just in a vacuum. I'm not actually putting this trade out there. For those 2 players, you would say yes. So what I'm basically alluding to, if a team offers an expiring contract, a large one, with picks, draft assets, for Wendell Carter and maybe some of our other contracts, I think the Magic would listen. Realistically. And we know that the Magic were looking already to trade Chuma Okeke. That was something we heard a few weeks ago, back in the beginning of December, that they were looking for that. And I know Goga, I believe Goga is an expiring. I'm going to get a confirmation on that in 5 seconds, guys. But I do believe Goga is, I don't think he's under contract for forever, but there's options. And at the same time, who could go for Wendell Carter? A team that needs a starting center. That's where it gets a little difficult to think who would go after him. Technically you could say the Blazers, but it's just and I don't want to seem like I'm being disrespectful or anything, because I do thoroughly enjoy my Magic. Because the Magic, in my opinion, have a good roster, and we've been building something. But on the whole, I don't know if we've put ourselves in the best position, or I've said this. Okay, so let's say the Clippers lose in the first round, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna just blow this up. This is just not working." All right, they're like, "We're done. We're moving on." Would the Magic think about getting Paul George? I think Paul George would be like the perfect former superstar to be like the third guy next to Franz Wagner and Paulo Banchero. I've always thought this. I want to hear your guys' thoughts about that. Here's the information about Chuma KK. Dude, Chuma coming out, I was so excited for. Like, he was supposed to be like this defensive specialist who was going to be able to do a little bit of everything. And so far, it's not his fault. The Orlando Magic are one of the best teams in the league, and they're ahead of their rebuild. Now, the good thing is that we're a good team. People like us. It's legit. We're one of the best defenses, one of the best teams all around. The bad thing is that several of our first round picks that like we've drafted over the years have been put in a logjam. More specifically, Chuma KK, the 16th overall pick in 2019, is a guy to monitor. The Cavaliers, Suns, Nuggets, and Bucks expressed exploratory interest in Chuma KK, who's considered a really good locker room presence and an incredibly hard worker. Orlando will have to decide on OKK, who's eligible for a restricted free agency this summer, if the Orlando Magic will offer him a tendered qualifying offer. Now, he spent a year away, not a year away, but a year rehabbing as a Magic with that ACL, and then signed his rookie deal. So he's technically been in the league for 5 years, but he's in his 4th year. He's literally a 3-and-D guy who can play the 3 and the 4. He's not never, he never became the scorer or the stat sheet stuffer that people hoped, but he's a guy that so far in the NBA, I mean, he shot really well at his years in Auburn, and in the NBA so far in 151 games, he's been a 38.5% from the field, 32.2% from 3. Really, his first 2 seasons were his best, where he shot like 40% from the field, 33% from 3, grabbed 4.5 rebounds, 2 assists a night, and about a little over a steal a game. He showed what he could do, and he keeps the ball moving in offense. He's a better team defender than a one-on-one guy, and he doesn't do too much, but he's a good player. But yeah, I could see that like we would probably move on from him. Just, Orlando, we just don't have a need for him, and we could capitalize on trading him now, than if we just let him walk or try to get a sign and trade in the offseason, which would be less likely and probably less beneficial because he's not going to go for much. But I think he's definitely a good player, and he's making 5.2. So I could see a team like maybe the Orlando Magic talking to the Washington Wizards for like DeLon Wright or one of their vets on that team to come over, and they give us a 2nd round pick plus that vet. I think we would be kind of cool with that, just to give us some experience around the off the bench. That's definitely something as a squad we probably need. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we did that.